Hey guys, so we are going to jump right in, okay? So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to use Pon. Erica West, she had posted a comment basically asking me what the heck was I using. Her comment read, "Ooh girl, I'm loving your spare room and all the gorgeous plants." She didn't say it like that, but that's how I read it, okay? So I'm going to post a comment here so you can see it. But basically, she wanted to know what I was using, how do I use it, exactly what do you do? So I said, you know what, let me make a video telling people what Pon is and how to use it. This is a great video for beginners because I'm going to tell you some of the things that I did in error when I first started so that you guys don't make that first mistake. First off, what is Pon, right? This big old bag back here. Pon is basically a rocky substrate and it is composed of four things, right? So we have we don't have leca, girl, get it together. I put leca in mine, as you can obviously see down to the bottom. So this rocky substrate, it has four things in it, right? You have your zeolite, you have pumice, lava rock, and then there's also little yellow beads of slow release fertilizer. The fertilizer basically releases over 6 months. So after that 6-month period, you can go ahead and add some more pebbles to it, something like Osmocote or whatever you choose to fertilize with. You can get it from the website. They sell a bunch of things. So they sell planters. They also sell different type of substrates. And the one that you want to choose if you want this is Pon. Here on the website, you can see that they have they show a picture of 4 bags, but they only sell 3 out of the 4. The smallest bag they don't sell. So the 1.4 gallon, which is the 6-liter bag, is $17.99. The next size up from that is $27.99. And then the largest bag, which is the one that I have, is $39.99. Ordered mine. I ordered a bunch. I've ordered all 3 of the sizes and I liked it so much. I said, you know what, let me just get the big bag because it just makes more sense when you come down to, you know, the dollars and the cents. So I just got the big bag. Now, only thing is when you go onto the website, 9 times out of 10 is going to say it's not available because this stuff is so good and it sells out really, really fast. Now, what you can do and what you should do is go ahead and add a reminder for the size that you want to get. I would say add a reminder for all 3 sizes, just in case they only get a certain size in stock. It might not be the size that you want, but you can at least get some. The biggest mistake that I made, and this was off of not reading the back of the bag and also, you know, being in other groups and listening to what people said, I went ahead and I was at the sink trying to rinse it out because if you think about it, rocks and gravel, you're going to have little bits of sediment, right? Because the rocks are going to start breaking down as they rub against each other. So there's always going to be sediment in there. And people are like, oh, you got to rinse it out. You got to rinse it out. So I'm at the sink like an idiot, just rinsing. And it took so long. You literally can just scoop this out of the bag and put it into the plant that you want to, put into Pon, transfer into Pon. Ponvert is what we call it. So that was the biggest thing. That was my biggest flaw. Like, you do not have to go through that step. So when you get your Pon, do not rinse it. Hey, y'all. I'm just popping in to say Elmo don't do shit for free. I want to hit that like button. That's all. There's a bit of a learning curve when it comes from going from soil to Pon because, you know, it's a different substrate. So being able to see what's going on, it'll kind of teach you like when you should water your plants and what your Pon is going to look like as it is drying out. So if you look at the 2 of these, you can see this one is a little bit lighter in color. That's because these are dry, and this Pon is definitely, it still has some moisture to it. So that's one way to tell when it's time to water your plant. Also, if you look at it, I have like a little bit of a reservoir down to the bottom, and I keep leca down there for 2 reasons. It helps me use a little less Pon, and then it also lets me see easily what my water level is like, right? So depending on your plant, the kind of plant that you have, you can decide if you want to have a reservoir or not. And for the most part, I just have a little bit of water to the bottom, just enough to maybe cover the leca that I'm putting in there, because I don't want my plants to be sitting in a lot of moisture and causing root rot. When to water, I water my plants, like I mentioned, when I notice like the plant is getting a little bit dry. I look all along the jar. If I don't see that there's any type of water in the bottom, I'll go ahead and I get, where's my squirt bottle? I get a squirt bottle like this, and I just water around the perimeter to get the top nice and moist. And then I make sure that I see some water kind of puddle to the bottom. And when it sits there for a little bit, what happens is the rocks, they start to absorb that moisture. The plant can just drink what it needs. So in this container, you can see I just have a little bit of water on the bottom, and I'll leave that there. Now, how often to water is not something that I can sit here and say you need to water once or twice a week. It really just depends on the same that you would do with your soil plants. It depends on the size of your plant. It depends on what you have your plant in. It also depends on your climate. So all those things will play a factor into how often you need to water your plants. Now that we're getting into the warmer side of things, I noticed that some of my plants upstairs in my plant room are definitely requiring water twice a week. So I've been training them to kind of be able to have a reservoir down to the bottom with the water roots. That way they're not going to get root rot. So that's going to be beneficial for me in the end. Let's talk about the pros and the cons. Off the top, I haven't had as many pest problems as I have had in the past with soil. A lot of my plants upstairs, I don't see any type, oh God, let me not jinx myself. Let me knock on wood. We've been pest free up there with these plants. I have not had any problems. I might see a gnat here or there, but that's more stemming from the plants that I have upstairs with sphagnum moss. I don't see it that much when it comes to my pond. So definitely less incidents with pests. That's a huge plus. The next thing is that pond is reusable. You know, when you're done for some, like let's say this plant doesn't do well and it died because you forgot to water it, and it's not necessarily something that's viral or whatever the case is. You can literally reuse the pond. You just take the plant out and you can reuse that pond. As the fertilizer starts to, go away after 6 months or is used up, you can add more fertilizer to it, and then you'll still have that pond to keep using. So that's another thing that I like about it. Also, it's so easy to remove pond from the roots of your plants compared to removing sphagnum or soil. They just fall off so much easier. Even leca. Sometimes when I put plants in leca, the roots cling onto those rocks so tight, those clay balls so tight. I'm afraid to take them off and damage them when I'm taking them off and trying to transfer them. The other thing that I absolutely love about pond, especially when you put it in a clear vessel, you can see the roots. You can see what is going on with your plant. You can see if it's starting to even develop roots. So as an example, I can show you here. If you look really closely, you can see in here a lot of the roots are growing, and it'll let you know if you know about the plant and if it likes to be root bound, if you even need to change it into a larger pot size at that time. So that's been part of the most fun and educational part of switching to pond and using them in clear vessels as of right now, is because I get to see the process of the roots growing. Quite honestly, I've seen a big improvement in a lot of my plants, especially my Hoyas, once I started switching them over. I saw an improvement once I started switching them over to leca, even a bigger improvement once I started switching it over to pond. So like, I'm sold on pond hands down. But a downside to pond is that I would say up front, coming from soil is definitely pricey to start off with. But once you start using it, you'll see the benefits, right? So upfront is pricey, but it makes sense and it's beneficial when you kind of do the math. The other downside for me personally, and this also goes for leca, is it can be a hassle if you have hardwood floors, because it will scratch the crap. It'll scratch the crap out of your floors. Like, I can't even tell you the state that my floors are in because I have like leca and Pon has fallen on the floor, and I would get some of it up. But all it takes is a little bit on the floor, and you either step on it with your shoe or something drag across the floor, and you got scratches on your hardwood floors. That's the only downside that I have found. Other than that, everything else, I love Pon. I'm a Ponvert. From here on out, I will be using Pon. I'm probably going to have a little Ponderosa. I'm probably going to have a little Ponderosa. Oh, look, this is a good one here to show you guys the roots. Oh, and watering as well. So this right here, this is a Exotica that I was propagating. And I did it, I have it here in this humidity globe. I actually make these. I need to put them on my website. I've been saying that for the longest time. I made them for my website. But look at these roots in here. You can see the roots, and they're absolutely growing and taking off. But again, I can see that there's no water on the bottom. Like normally I'll leave some water on the bottom here with the leca, so you can see that. And you can see that it's not dried all the way out, but there's definitely no moisture in here. So what I do to water, again, I get my little squeeze bottles and I just make sure that I'm wetting across the top, and then I kind of like squirt around the perimeter of it to wet the plant. So I hope I answered all your questions when it comes to Pon and how to use it. I'm going to be doing, like I said, I'm going to do a Ponderosa. So again, I hope I answered your questions. If you guys like the video and the content, if you learned anything at all, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Also, consider subscribing to the channel. I see the analytics. Y'all been watching, but y'all not subscribed. So again, my name is Me-Anie. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you in another video. And try to go out there and have a good day on purpose. On purpose.